This will be for the con assignment, simplify rational expressions, common monomial factors. Okay, so since it's called monomial, I believe we are just factoring out one term at a time from the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so monomial, it just means one term. It could possibly be two terms multiplied by each other, like it could be 6x squared or something of that nature. Okay, that's called a monomial since it's still just one term. All right, anyway, I can see here in the numerator we have two even numbers. Okay, so I could definitely factor out a 2. And we have y squared and a y, so factor out the one with the lowest exponent, so that would just be y. Okay, 6y squared divided by 2y is just going to be 3y. Right, and you can double check 3y times 2y is 6y squared. 10y divided by 2y is just 5. Okay, and on the bottom, again, both numbers are even, so we can factor out a 2. And both terms have y. This is y squared and this is y. Take the one with the smaller exponent, so that's a y. Okay, 2y squared divided by 2y is just going to be y. 14y, or should I say negative 14y divided by 2y, that's going to be a negative 7. Okay, so 2y over 2y, that just cancels. And we're left with 3y plus 5 divided by y minus 7. So just put that in the box. All right. And the second part of this, the second question says, which values of y make the expression undefined? Okay, so basically, what would make it undefined is when the denominator equals 0. Okay, because you can't divide by 0. So in order to find these values, you have to look at the whole thing before you canceled. So see this 2y here, 2y over 2y. I'm gonna remove, I know I canceled this before, but if you look at the numbers that will make the denominator 0, see we have y minus 7. If y were 7, we would have 7 minus 7, that's 0. Okay, so y cannot equal 7. And also, if y were 0, this would be 2 times 0, which is 0. And again, it would give you a 0 in the denominator. So y can't equal 7 or 0. All right. So the first answer was 3y plus 5. Hit the fraction button. 3y plus 5. Click on the denominator, y minus 7. Okay, and for the follow-up question, it says choose all answers that apply. So we have to choose 7 and 0. Okay, A is 0 and B is 7. All right. So in the first expression, both of these are divisible by 10. That would be the greatest common factor. Okay, so I'm going to factor a 10 out of here. Okay, negative 20y divided by 10. That's just going to be a negative 2y. And 30 divided by 10 is going to be a positive 3. Okay, on the bottom here, I believe we can factor out a 2 because they're both even. So I'm going to factor out a 2. All right. Negative 2y divided by 2. That's just going to leave us with negative y. Positive 6 divided by 2 is going to leave us with a 3. All right. And of course, 10 divided by 2 is just 5. So we have 5 times negative 2y plus 3. And we have negative y plus 3 on the bottom. All right. I think that's simplified enough. I hope they won't ask me to make me distribute. All right, and if you look at the values of y that make it undefined, if y equaled 3, you would get negative 3 plus 3, which is 0. You can't have a 0 in the denominator. So y cannot equal 3. Y cannot equal 3 because then you'd have negative 3 plus 3. So let's see. We click the fraction button. We have 5 and parentheses negative 2y plus 3. Click on the denominator, negative y plus 3. Alright, and this follow-up question, y cannot be 3. So that would just be answer B. Alright, so it says, Naledi and Duru manipulated the rational expression. Their responses are shown below. Which student wrote an expression that is equivalent to the original? Alright, so I think we should just factor this and then see whose answer is correct. In the numerator, 48 and 12 are both divisible by 12. Okay? So I'm going to factor out a 12. And they both have an n. So you choose the smaller exponent. Here we have n to the third and n squared. Okay? 12n to the third divided by 12n squared. That's just n. 48n squared divided by 12n squared. That's just 4. Alright? And then in the numerator, I know 12 and 60 are both divisible by 12. Okay, so I'm going to factor out a 12. And n to the third, n squared. The smaller one is n squared. Okay, so 12n to the third divided by 12n squared is just n. And 60n squared divided by 12n squared is just 5. Okay. So 12n squared over 12n squared, they both cancel. And we're left with n plus 4 over n plus 5. Okay, so I say that Letty's answer is correct. Alright, last one. Simplify the following rational expression. I know that 30 and 80 are both divisible by 10. So I'm going to factor out a 10. And they both have k. The one with the smaller exponent is k squared. So 30k to the third divided by 10k squared. That's going to be a 3k. And 80k squared divided by 10k squared is going to be an 8. Okay? And 10k squared divided by 10k squared, we can cancel those two. So we have 3k plus 8. And that goes in the box. Which values make the expression undefined? Remember, you can't have the denominator 0, okay? The denominator cannot equal 0. So let's look at it before we canceled, all right? You basically have to look at it. You have to uncancel it and check. What number would make the denominator 0? Well, if k were equal to 0, you'd have 10 times 0 in the denominator. That's no good. Okay? So k cannot equal 0. So just type 3k plus 8. And which value will make it undefined? K can't be 0. Okay, just be careful on the second questions, because the follow-up questions, because it says choose all answers that apply. So it might be more than one answer.